All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Doug Saravo Show, which is brought to you by our good friends at Unsolicited Role Models, the role models you may not want, but you may just need. We just want to congratulate Paige Beckers for winning her first ever national championship in her historic collegiate career. So congratulations to Paige Beckers. Everyone here at Saravo Broadcasting, we respect you a lot, and we love what you're doing to the game for women's basketball. You're truly an inspiration to all of us, and we can't thank you enough. Also, congratulations to legendary head coach Gino Amanora for winning another championship. He gets another ring to his legendary career. And congratulations to the Great Eight on scoring 895. So congratulations to Alex Ovechkin. On today's episode, we're discussing MLB pretenders and contenders. This was an idea from my good friend Mikey Steiner, so thank you to that, Michael. There's 30 teams in Major League Baseball, and who's the true contender? Who's the true threat to win a World Series? Like, out of all these teams, yeah, you have some good teams. You have a lot of good teams, but are they great? Do they have enough to win a World Series? Do they have enough to be a solid playoff lock? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to discuss those teams, what we think we got. So I'm going to pull up the standings. Again, if you're just joining us, this is the Doug Saravo Show, which is brought to you by our good friends at Unsolicited Role Models, the role models you may not want, but you may just need. So we're going to pull up the standings as I've mentioned. And these divisions are interesting. They're very interesting. So let's get with, we're going to start with the AL East. You have the Yankees who are in first place. They're 6-3. And then you got the Red Sox 6-4, Blue Jays 5-5, Tampa Bay Rays 4-5, Baltimore Orioles 4-6. Orioles are off to a slow start. They truly are. Do they bounce back? Yes. Do they have enough to win a World Series? Probably not. Probably not. Toronto, they should be at the bottom of the division. They should be. It's just facts. If I had to pick a playoff team for this division, I have the New York Yankees. So the New York Yankees are my first playoff lock. I think based on what they have right now, the way they've been playing, if everyone stays healthy, like Aaron Judge, Carlos Rodon, Cody Bellinger, I think they should be that playoff lock. And then if you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, I put the Rays, as you say, as a pretender. And the reason why I say pretender is because I don't think they have enough to get over the hump. I think they have the pitching, but I don't think the offense has what it takes to carry them. You got Yandy Diaz and maybe Brandon Lau. That's their big bet. On paper, they'll keep you in games with their pitching. But they just don't have enough to win a World Series. It's the reality of it. They don't have enough. They don't have enough. And then you look at the Central. You got the Tigers at 5-4, Royals 4-5, Guardians 3-6, Twins 3-6, White Sox 2-7. Twins, I'm not worried about. White Sox, they're going to be bottom of that division. Could be worse than last year. I don't know. But if I'm looking at my list, playoff lock, I put the Tigers. I think they have a great young team, great ace in Tariq Skubal, great manager in Adrian Hinch, great young players that have been developed. And I look at the Royals, they don't have enough. They don't have enough to get over the hump. So that's why I'm going with the Tigers, just because I feel like they're that one team. Like the Tigers, they're that one team that they have all the pieces, but is it enough? Is it enough? And then if you look at the AL West, you got the Rangers 8-2, Angels 6-3, Astros 4-5. Athletics 4-6. Mariners 3-7. Not worried about the Mariners. Not worried about the Athletics. Astros, I think they'll compete, but they don't have enough. Losing Bregman hurts. They don't have enough. Realistically, they don't have enough. So if you look at the American League side, it's like, realistically, your three teams that really have a good shot to win a World Series is the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Rangers. Or to at least match up in the ALCS. It could be Yankees, Tigers. It could be Yankees, Texas. I think out of these three teams, one of them will be in the ALCS. At least one of them. Pretenders, I would not be surprised if the Royals get there. Or even the Rays just because of their pitching. So if you look at the American League, realistically, who has the best shot to go to the World Series, or at least win the World Series? It's three teams. Yankees, Tigers, Texas. So from the American League side, you have three true contenders. From the American League side. Because, I won't be surprised with teams like the Orioles if they get hot and they go to the World Series. I won't be surprised if the Red Sox get there. I won't be surprised if the Rangers go back. I won't be surprised if the Astros are there because they surprise people. The Astros are still a team that you have to worry about because of the way they play their game. But at the end of the day, they don't have enough. They're not that great, talented team. Like a top 5 team overall around the whole pitching, offense, defense. I think the better way to say it is complete team. Yankees complete, besides a few injuries. Tigers, I think they're complete. Rangers, healthy, they're complete. So from the American League side, you have 3 true complete teams. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, if you're just joining us, this is the Doug Serravo Show, which is brought to you by Unsolicited Role Models, the role models you may not want, but you may just need. We're going to look at the National League side. I have my pretenders. I have my playoff locks. But who's those true contenders? Who are those true contenders? Again, the Doug Serravo Show, which is brought to you by Unsolicited Role Models, the role models you may not want, but you may just need. We have much more to get to, and we will be right back after this quick commercial break. You can find us on all your podcast applications, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the Doug Serravo Show, which is brought to you by Unsolicited Role Models, the role models you may not want, but you may just need. You are watching, or you could be listening to Major League Baseball Pretenders and Contenders from the first week of the opening season of 2025. So let's look at the NL side of the standings and see what we got. All right, let's do this. Let's do this, boys or girls, whoever's watching. All right, so on the so back to my point with the American League. In the American League, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15. 15 teams in the American League, and there's only 3 contenders. You know, you look at other sports, there's almost like 5 good teams that could come out on top. Like 5 dominating teams. And I think that's why the Yankees got to the World Series last year. I think that's why the Dodgers got to the World Series last year, because they're complete. You know, the Royals may get hot at the right time, but they're not there yet. Tigers may get there, and I think they're a little bit ready. They have the experience. Astros, missing depth. Angels, not ready. Rays, no offense. Orioles, inconsistent. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for some teams, but other teams, you know, you could call them a lock. You can call them a lock. National League side. All right, in the NL East, you got the Phillies at 7-2, Mets 6-3, Marlins 5-4, Nationals 3-6, Braves 1-8. I think the Braves can turn it around. I truly do. They just have to get on a winning streak, and they'll be right there. Marlins, a bunch of no names on their team. They're starting good. You know, they're starting very good right now. Few walk-off wins, but when it's all said and done, they're not going to be there. Nationals, young team, but they still have to find an identity. They're not ready yet. They have their pieces, but they're not ready yet. So when I look at this list and what that I put together, I put Phillies and Mets. Just because I feel like they have the depth. They have the depth and they have the pieces. So I think if you're going to look at a team, you know, if 2 of the last 3 years, I think the NLCS was a team from the a team from the East and the West. One year we had the Phillies play the D-backs. And then we had the Mets play LA. So these were the last 2 NLCS. Those are the last 2. And I feel, that's going to get to my point with the next division, the NL Central, which I think isn't a good division at all. You got the Cubs, you got the Cubs 7-5, Brewers 5-5, St. Louis 4-5, Reds 3-7, Pirates 3-7. Pirates ain't going anywhere. The Reds ain't going anywhere. Cardinals ain't going anywhere. Brewers, I think the Cubs are going to win the division. Just because a team has to win the division. Think about it. A team has to win the division. So that's why we're going with the Cubbies, just because a team has to win. And I don't think those teams at the bottom are there yet. They're not. But that's why I have them in this list. If you look at this list that I have the Cubs as pretenders. I have the Brewers as pretenders. Just because I think if they get into the postseason and they have to face a Phillies or they have to face a Mets team or a Dodgers or a Padres, they're not going to upset the Dodgers or the Padres. They're not going to upset the Phillies or the Mets. We've seen stranger things happen, but I don't think those teams are at that level yet as the Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Padres. I don't think so. I don't see it at all. Which is why I think if you're looking at this list that I have right here, and you look at the NLCS, you're going to see the Phillies, you're going to see the Mets, you're going to see the Dodgers, and you're going to see the Padres. All of these teams right here will be playing in this year's NLCS. And I think it could be LA versus the Mets, or it's going to be Philly versus the Padres. Think about it. The last few NLCSs we saw, Phillies, Diamondbacks was 23. Mets, LA, 24. Phillies, Padres, 22. LA versus Mets, it could be 25 again. So you look at the National League, there's only, and it's from 2 divisions. It doesn't count the Central. There's only 4 teams in the National League of Major League Baseball that are true contenders, true complete teams. That's the Phillies, that's the Mets, that's the Dodgers, and the Padres. So 4 true contenders. So that's a total of 7 teams. 7 teams out of 30. There's no parity in Major League Baseball. There just isn't. There just isn't. So if you think about who's going to be in the World Series this year, of course it matters in August, September, October when they get hot. When those teams get hot at the right time. Which is why I won't be surprised if a team like the Astros, the Rays, the Royals go on a run. But I think there's a lot of things holding those teams back. Rays, offense. Astros, depth. Royals, they're too young. Atlanta may bounce back. Angels, But because of how good the Dodgers and Padres are, the Giants and Arizona are going to have to fall in the wild card. If there's a threat to the Dodgers, it's the Padres. So if you think about who your 7 true contenders are out of 30 teams, it's the Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Padres, Yankees, Tigers, Texas. There's really no true contender. I mean, there's no... How do I say it? Like, if you look at football, each division has almost a threat. Like, I think the Packers could be a threat to the Lions. The Seahawks could be a threat to the Rams. The Commanders are a threat to the Eagles. The Rams or the Chargers could be a threat to the Chiefs. The Broncos, there could be 3 teams. Think about it. The NL West, there could be, the AL West. We're getting to the NFC West because we're talking baseball. 3 teams in one division could be a threat. Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers. Whereas in Major League Baseball, you only have, no parity. And then if we look at the standings for the NL West, Giants 8-1. But how long is that going to last? Dodgers 9-2. They're on full force. Padres 8-2. They're a complete team. Their lineup is stacked. Pitching staff stacked. Diamondbacks, for them, it's all about depth and getting hot at the right time. And then you have the Rockies that no one cares about, realistically. So if you think about this Major League Baseball season so far, there's only 7 true contenders. And as I've mentioned before, the Yankees, the Rangers, the Tigers for the American League. 3 teams out of 15. Whereas the National League, you do have 4 teams out of 15. Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Padres. Other than that, you may have a surprise team here and there. The Rays, they're known to surprising people. What can I say? That's the Rays way. That's the Rays way. NL Central, someone has to win that division, but there's no clear-cut favorite. The Padres, the Pirates aren't going to do anything. The Rockies aren't going to do anything. The Marlins, Nationals, they're not doing anything. But out of 30 teams, there's only 7 true contenders, at least in my mind. They're the complete teams. And they're teams that's going to be, one of them will be in the NL and ALCS. Yankees or Texas. There may be that surprise team. It could be a Houston or Tampa, Kansas City, Baltimore. National League, it's going to be one of those teams. Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Padres. That's just that. That's just the reality of Major League Baseball today. I can't, I look at it and I don't see a clear-cut favorite. I really do not see a clear-cut favorite because I think there's a lot of complete teams, but there's not a whole lot in the whole league. There's only like 7. There's only 7 out of 30 teams. It's not competitive. Major League Baseball today is really not competitive compared to other sports. You know, that's just my thoughts. And I thank Mikey for bringing up that. And he does make a good point. You have talented players on bad teams. Ellie De La Cruz on the Reds. Paul Skeens on the Pirates. So, you know, where does Major League Baseball go from here? And how do they try and change the landscape to have more contenders rather than 7? Again, thank you for listening to this episode of the Doug Saravo Show, which is brought to you by our good friends at Unsolicited Role Models, the role models you may not want, but you may just need. Today's episode, MLB Pretenders and Contenders. We'll actually see you tomorrow, Dougie and Just. So we look forward to another show tomorrow with my boy Jimmy. We will see everybody next time, and thank you for supporting us. Take care, and God bless.